Okay, so this is the sentence parajumbles question. So let's actually get into understanding each of the sentences in detail first. So Kerri True, a psychology professor, highlighted that adding plausible details to just a second. Okay, yeah. So Kerri True, a psychological professor, highlighted that adding plausible details to fabrications increases the chances of confusing their origins later. Okay, so basically, this is talking about psychology professor Kerri True, and it says that if you add plausible details, and plausible details is something that the realistic details, okay, realistic details to fabrications is something that you fabricate, okay, lies maybe, okay, so you add some kind of realistic details to lies, okay, so it becomes easier to later mix them up with a mix them up, right? So basically, that's the case, right? So, Kerri True, a psychological professor, they highlighted that adding plausible details to fabrication increases the chance of confusing their origins later. Okay, so mix them up later on. Essentially, the more intricate and believable a lie becomes, the easier it is to mistakenly believe it is true. Okay, so it says that the more intricate, that is more detailed and believable a lie becomes, okay, the easier it is to mistakenly believe it is true. Okay, so that the more detailed and believable a lie is, the easier it is to start believing as if it is actually true. Okay, now crafting an elaborate story about a night at John's house can lead one to genuinely remember it as an actual event in the future. So it now gets into the example that in case if you create a story or fabricate a story about, let's say, a night at John's house, okay, or about spending time at John's house, okay, you might later remember it as a thought that it really happened, okay. Lies, especially when detailed, can disrupt our ability to differentiate between reality and fiction. That lies, when in case it contains a lot of detail and information, so it becomes it hard for us to separate what is the reality and what is the fiction, what is the truth and what is false. Okay, so that's the case. Yes, now the correct sequence for this question is 4123. We are sure that definitely the 4 is an opening sentence. Okay, so lies when now lies spatially when detailed can disrupt our ability to differentiate between reality and fiction. So with the fourth as a sentence, okay, first of all, it's a very general statement, okay, and it tells us that maybe कि जब lies detailed होते हैं तो वो reality और fiction के difference को नहीं बताते हैं, okay, which is actually the topic sentence which is further built up in the another sentence. Now after that we need to get into this Kerri True, okay, because उसके बाद सारा जो opinions चल रहा है वो उसका चल रहा है, okay. Now it says that this lies when in detail disrupt our ability, और इसको कौन support कर रहा है? Psychology professor highlighted that adding plausible details, okay, so plausible details is again that when you're making it add more details to it, right? So details to fabrication increases the chances of confusing their origins later. Okay, so it's kind of sentence one supports the provide supporting evidence, okay, from this Kerri True, okay, and it directly again re-emphasize ki why lies they, I mean, like, it's difficult to differentiate between reality and fiction when detailed. So when you add plausible details to fabrication, so that is the case, right? So it's talk about the same idea. After that, it has to be definitely the sentence number 2. Essentially, the more intricate a believable lie becomes, it is easier mistakenly it is the easier it is to be mistakenly believe it's true. Okay, now sentence 2 actually begins as an essentially. Okay, now essentially is kind of, maybe you can say, a word that kind of in fact talks about a restatement, okay, या फिर it kind of acts as a summary word. Okay, so that's the case. So अभी यहाँ पे problem आ सकता था कि fourth के बाद में two आना चाहिए था, okay, but that's not a case because essentially it's kind of again a restatement. Okay, और वो restatement कहाँ पे आ रहा है? That adding plausible details to fabrications. Okay, so that is the case that the sentence number 2 kind of simplify what sentence number 1 says, right? कि इसने थोड़ा सा complex words use करे plausible to fabrications. It says that essentially the more intricate and believable a lie becomes, it is easier it is to be mistakenly it's to be true. Okay, so that's the case that it's giving more of the 2 is giving more of a clarification and simplification to what the 1 is saying. So 1 and 2, okay, and then the last is the 3 because it is giving a kind of a example of a fabricated night at John's house. So this example illustrates the point that is made in 2 about the lies becoming believable. Okay, so it is mistakenly believed it's to be true. Okay, and that's what they are saying, that crafting an elaborate story, okay, about John's house can lead to one to genuinely remember it as an actual event in the future. So that's the case, that the sequence is 4 1 2 3. I hope you got this particular thing right.